Hello there, welcome to the Board Game Nights. My name is Kristof and I'm going to tell you all about deck building as a mechanic in board games. So what is deck building? Deck building in a few short words can be summed up as a collection of varied cards, and you start out with a small collection of very boring, simple cards that slowly you make informed decisions to make a more complex, well-oiled machine of a deck. These decisions that you are making in a deck building game are much akin to a recipe, different flavors and aromas that you choose to make a beautiful stew. But like any culinary experiment, the options are vast and varied, and not every result is a good one. You try and try again, and each time you learn to get a better result. Popular collectible card games such as Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon trading card game as well, they use a preemptive deck building strategy to make the gameplay derive from after that point. Whereas deck building games, as the name suggests, use this mechanic to derive the entire game itself. Why do you enjoy playing a deck building game? Very simple, 3 points. Variety. Every choice you make can change the gameplay. Strategy, those decisions on how to implement them in the gameplay, and replayability. Every time you play a deck building game, it is vastly different. Deck building is a very simple mechanic, but there are a lot of things to master. It's like trying to build an efficient machine which also exploits luck. So while every time you draw a new set of cards, you might not get exactly what you're after, it's all about trying to make the best of what you've got and trying to make each hand better than the last. Deck building is a very simple mechanic, and it can be used to make other games much better as well. For example, A Few Acres of Snow, a war strategy game, is made much more enjoyable with the deck building mechanic and gives it a good element of realism, whereas an area control game like Trains is made much more fun by the deck building mechanic. There are a lot of positives to deck building, there's also a couple of negatives I gotta talk about. A Few Acres of Snow is a prime example of this. It can be a very frustrating game because of the deck building mechanic. Because even with the best of strategies built up with your deck, luck can ruin your gameplay every time. Who would I recommend a deck building game to? Well, as human beings, we love to see things grow. And as players, you can enjoy the experience of seeing these decisions come back to either greatly reward you or deeply frustrate you in a game that changes every time you play it. Just as a side note, deck building does not always have to revolve around cards. There is a game called Quarriors, for example, which is a pool building game that uses dice instead. We hope you enjoyed our deck building introduction, and the next time on Board Game Nights, we will be reviewing the one that started it all, Dominion. Do you want to play a board game?
No!
It doesn't have to be a board game.